Good afternoon. A very warm welcome to St Peter Mancroft, whether you're watching online or you're in church. If you are in church, please feel free to continue your visit. This is one of our weekly reflections, which we have every Wednesday lunchtime. I'm Catherine Waddams, a lay minister here, and today I want to talk about one-word judgments. So I wonder how you would describe yourself in one word, in terms of your age, your appearance, your achievements, perhaps your character, your relationships, merit, whether you're good or bad, indifferent. What one word most defines you, do you think? Last week, Ofsted scrapped its controversial summaries of schools as being outstanding, good, requiring improvement, or inadequate. Instead, report cards will summarise the findings of Ofsted and give a grade in 4 different areas: quality of education, behaviour and attitudes, personal development, and leadership and management. This has been greeted with relief by many people and hailed as, quote, a landmark moment for children. The one-word summaries have always been accompanied by more information about particular aspects of the school, its students, and its processes. I wonder whether parents and carers will feel that the new system does have enough information to choose between schools, or will they miss that one-word summary? We're in a society that encourages individual choice, not only for schools, but for services like energy suppliers. And we often look to simplify these choices by using single rankings on comparison websites, for example, and review platforms, whether we're choosing products, restaurants, experiences, universities even. We can't live our lives without some snap judgments. Is it safe to cross the road? What shall we eat this evening? Shall we buy a particular shirt or a treat? The classic, "How are you?" often expects a very simple one-word response. One elderly relative I knew used to give a very full and frank answer to this question, so I'm afraid we stopped asking her. In contrast, my grandmother would respond, "If I tell you, you'll just say, 'What do you expect at your age?' So I'll say, 'Very well, thank you, dear.'" So when is it useful to have a single word or figure to compare? And when do we need to look much deeper? If we're all looking for the same thing, perhaps the cheapest energy supplier, then it's useful to rank the possibilities in terms of their price and cost. But for example, if some of us want green energy or local energy and are prepared to pay more for that, then ranking becomes rather more complicated. Choosing somewhere to stay on holiday can be even more complex because we all like different things. But TripAdvisor still gives a single number rating based on whether other people have been happy with the choice. The problem is, which people? I'm only interested in the judgments of people who want the same things as I do. One example of this is that it used to be the case that whether a room possessed a trouser press featured significantly in how a hotel was rated. And I really don't care about trouser presses. Indeed, a hotel with a trouser press is probably designed for businessmen and may not be the sort of place that I'm looking for. So I have to look below that single number, even if it's nearly 5, and see why it was rated highly. Sometimes I find reading the poor reviews gives me more of a feel for a place than the good ones, especially if I don't value the same thing as the disgruntled reviewer. In terms of schools, the best learning environment is likely to vary between students. Some may need a quieter environment, others thrive on vibrancy, so we need to have more detail. This further information may be just as crucial as the summary in choosing the best school for any particular child. And giving all these details can encourage a diversity of offers from schools, so there's a range for different kinds of children, within a framework, of course, of good, safe education. I always felt that my younger child got a bit of a raw deal because we chose a primary school for her older brother's needs. And although we could have chosen a different school for her 2 years later, inertia was a very strong factor, and it was so much easier to have both children at the same school. Once they were at secondary school, they were automatically at different schools, the only single-sex state schools in Leicester. And by the time they entered sixth form, each chose for themselves the school best suited to their ambitions. It happened to be the same one. Luckily, their surname was common enough that teachers did not associate the younger one with the challenges which they remembered her brother had previously presented. So when we choose between schools and between products or services, we often want to look at several dimensions. It's interesting in this context that we describe God in 3 different ways: Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, or perhaps more appropriately in this creation tide, as Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. This Trinity, these 3 words, we need 3 words to reflect the richness of our faith and to help us appreciate the very many aspects of God. And of course, even a single word may need clarifying, as the curate found when he opened his rotten egg. This was certainly originated when all curates were male, and declared to his host, sometimes the bishop's wife, sometimes the vicar's wife in the story, that his egg, his rotten egg, was very good in parts. So back to how we describe ourselves, or indeed other people. We each, of course, have a whole range of qualities. Different ones are obvious in different situations. A single word is rarely enough as an adequate summary. Good or bad, stupid or clever, nice or nasty. I particularly don't like people saying, "Oh, don't be so stupid," or "that's a stupid person." Just sometimes people do stupid things, doesn't mean they're stupid people. And if we believe that each person is made in the image of God, however we think of the deity, we are certainly invited to look beyond that simple summary description to the individual mix that makes up each individual. Truth be told, of course, we are all outstanding in some ways and terribly inadequate in others, and we certainly all require improvement. It's always the deeper look, the underlying detail which matters, either in how we think of ourselves, in our relationships with other people, or, as Ofsted has decided, in assessing schools. Thank you.